on, admit it. There's nothing wrong with a little fang action.
Welcome to the party, Julius.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we'll be counting down the top 10 sexy male movie vampires. Because there are just so many monsters to choose from, we eliminated any characters that weren't strictly vampires, like the vampire-werewolf hybrid Michael Corvin from Underworld.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
However, vampires that are half human are fair game.
Hello?
Michael, are you still in bed?
No?
Number 10. Michael Emerson, The Lost Boys.
Yeah, sure.
Who better to start us on our countdown than this 80s teen heartthrob?
Look, this isn't a comic book, Sammy. These guys are brutal killers.
Jason Patric plays Michael, the new kid in town who falls in with the wrong crowd, which happens to consist of rebellious vampires led by a very young Kiefer Sutherland.
Maggots, Michael. You're eating maggots. How do they taste?
While some millennials may have a hard time looking past the film's occasionally corny special effects and everyone's big hair, it's hard to deny that Michael is still the dreamiest vampire in school.
My blood is in your veins. Soul is mine!
Number 9. Adam, Only Lovers Left Alive.
There you are.
Played by the very dashing Tom Hiddleston, Adam's character is more complex and three-dimensional than Count Dracula ever was.
I just feel like all the sands at the bottom of the hourglass or something.
One of many self-hating types, he measures his eternal life by the evolution of music and is an avid collector of instruments.
What about all my instruments?
My darling, the world is full of beautiful instruments.
He's not your typical vampire. He doesn't even stalk humans for food. What makes him so sexy is that he appears to be completely unaware of his own appeal.
They only figure it out when it's too late.
Although he shies away from people, he is generally concerned with the real world and its problems, which reminds us that the tragic romantic hero has always been irresistible.
It's probably blood poisoning.
Don't joke, Adam.
I'm not.
Number 8. Lestat de Lioncourt, Queen of the Damned.
I am the vampire Lestat.
Based on Anne Rice's novel by the same name, this edgier version of a popular character is also a famous rock star, which only amplifies his sex appeal and desirability.
We are the powerful. We are the immortal. We should walk fearless in the open, no?
Played by a young Stuart Townsend, who shows off his flat, marble-like chest throughout the film, this darker, less playful rendition of the well-known vampire suits the fantasies of a young teen goth who dreams about being the one human to win Lestat's cold heart. The film was widely lambasted by the critics, but that doesn't make Townsend's performance as Lestat any less memorable.
How presumptuous.
Number 7. Jerry Dandridge, Fright Night.
Hey, guy.
Colin Farrell plays the sexy next-door neighbor with a deadly secret and an uncanny ability to charm the pants off every woman he meets.
Look at you all grown up. Welcome to Fright Night. For real.
His bad boy vibe gets a little too literal when his suspicious neighbor Charlie realizes that he's a blood-sucking vampire who loves to feast on beautiful women.
Women who look a certain way, they need to be managed.
But even as he's brutally mauling and desiccating his victims, we still can't help but fantasize about getting bit by the horrifying yet down-to-earth Jerry, which is essentially what makes vampires so dangerous in the first place.
Catch you later.
Number 6. Kraven, Underworld.
Please, my lord, let me summon assistance. You're in need of rest.
Despite the fact that Kraven is possibly the most unlikable character of the entire movie franchise, we are nevertheless attracted to this dark and brooding bloodsucker.
You'll go before Victor and tell him exactly what I tell you to. From here on out.
Played by Irish actor Shane Broley, who, with his black hair and naturally pale complexion, is reminiscent of Bela Lugosi's Count Dracula. Kraven is the perfect mixture of Byronic hero and overbearing tyrant.
But when he got to you, he just couldn't bear the thought of draining you dry.
Yes, he is forever screwing his friends over for personal gain, but no one ever said vampires were supposed to be good. And sometimes, it's good to be bad.
That's enough. You're coming with me.
I really hope I live long enough to see Victor choke the life from you.
I bet you do.
Number 5. Vlad III, Dracula Untold.
Men do not fear swords. They fear monsters.
Fact and fantasy blend together in this dark story of the real-life warlord who was the inspiration behind Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Do you think you are alive because you can fight? You are alive because of me!
Luke Evans plays Vlad, a doting father and husband, but also a vicious warrior during the medieval reign of the Ottoman Empire.
We leave. No.
The filmmakers did a pretty decent job at turning one of the most violent men in history into a sympathetic character, and that's without giving credit to Luke Evans' impressive and sexually charged performance that leaves some of us aching to get bit.
I just want peace. That's all.
Number 4. Blade franchise.
Are you out of your damn mind?
The real question should probably be, what isn't sexy about this weapon-wielding, black-clad killer?
There are worse things out tonight than vampires.
Like what?
Like me.
Wesley Snipes plays the half-vampire, half-human killer, hell-bent on protecting humans from really unfriendly vampires like Deacon Frost, the sexy nemesis responsible for Blade's fate.
You may wake up one day and find yourself extinct.
Snipes' bulging biceps and wicked grin make us want to sink our teeth into something. And by something, we mean him. Of all the vampire characters out there, Blade brings a refreshing take on the genre, a relief from the sentimental, frilly lace cliches.
The hell makes you think you know about hunting vampires?
Number 3. Lestat de Lioncourt, Interview with the Vampire.
Everybody's dying. Pay no attention. Happens to us all.
A younger Tom Cruise takes the 3rd spot on our list for portraying the unabashed and brazen Lestat, an 18th century vampire obsessed with maintaining the status quo of the makeshift family he created.
One happy family.
His victims come to him mostly by way of slow seduction, which is a genre staple that Cruise pulls off with little camp and a lot of swagger.
My friend should taste those lips.
Lestat is unashamed of who he is, and it's his very arrogance and quite possibly his homoerotic infatuation with Louis that leaves the viewer inexplicably breathless and blushing.
No one could refuse me. Not even you, Louis.
Number 2. Edward Cullen, Twilight Saga.
I don't have the strength to stay away from you anymore.
Then don't.
The level of fandom surrounding Edward Cullen, or better yet Robert Pattinson, can only be described as mania.
You're my only reason to stay alive, if that's what I am. But it's my job to protect you.
During Twilight's heyday, teens, moms, and senior citizens were absolutely obsessed with the angst-filled, guilt-ridden vampire who glittered in the sunlight and dined on woodland creatures.
My family, we think of ourselves as vegetarians, because we only survive on the blood of animals.
His inner struggle against the darkness of his bloodlust and his love for Bella Swan was every awkward teenager's fantasy, and his style spawned countless copycats.
Isabella Swan, I promise to love you every moment forever.
If you're wondering who's responsible for a whole new resurgence of vampire popularity and the next generation of fans of the genre, you can thank this eternal 17-year-old.
Can't trust vampires. Trust me.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
Tell Edward how much it hurts. Tell him to avenge him. Tell him. What are you doing? Tell him. Tell her!
On second thoughts, yeah. I could have let them finish you off.
Didn't your father ever tell you, Mary? I can't die. He won't have me.
Treated vampire blood. That's the cure. Welcome back to humanity. Now you get to die.
Interesting. I've been stabbed, and I've been hanged, and I've been burned. Even broken on the rack once, but I've never been shot before.
Number 1. Louis de Pointe-du-Lac, Interview with the Vampire.
Are you
calling me a cheat?
No matter how many films have preceded it, no vampire movie can compare to Anne Rice's adaptation. And no actor has played a hotter vampire than Brad Pitt, though his co-stars Tom Cruise and Antonio Banderas come close.
The world changes. We do not.
In the early 90s, Pitt was better known for his looks than for his acting chops. And here, he delivers a performance that still leaves a new generation of viewers trembling at the knees.
For 30 years, I had avoided that place. Yet I found my way back there, with hardly an upward glance.
Despite being a killer, this is offset by his fragility and self-hatred, which writers have figured out is the winning combination to any vampire fantasy.
I'm flesh and blood, but not human. I haven't been human for 200 years.
Do you agree with our list?
It's fake.
Which other vampire do you find irresistible? For more entertaining top 10s published daily, be sure to subscribe to MsMojo.